Hey everyone, my name is Stephanie and welcome back if you are already subscribed, and welcome if you are not. For those of you that are not, what I'm doing is right now I'm doing paleo, but I'm going through a bunch of different nutritional approaches to life, if you would. Veganism, paleo, low carb, things that you're gonna do for the rest of your life, not just temporary diets. And I am seeing how I feel on each of them. What it does for me as far as bringing down inflammation, what it does as far as my blood pressure. I'm going to look at my cholesterol at the end of each one, my blood work, and just how I feel on the diet as well. And I'll be looking up research as I go through each one of them. Right now I'm doing paleo research and I'm bringing it all to you guys. So if you're interested in finding out how each of these turns out for me, follow along on my journey. You can subscribe on my blog, you can subscribe here on YouTube. I've got an Instagram, I've got a Facebook group. So, current nutritional experiment, paleo, as I said. So far so good. I've been on it 5 weeks about now, and so far so good. I keep losing weight. Pounds just keep kind of dropping off, and I'm not looking at my calories at all. Kind of nice. So today I will be reviewing for you the Paleo Diet, the starter of the entire movement. So the Paleo Diet was originally published in 2002, and then a new edition came out in 2010. Dr. Loren Cordain, PhD, who wrote it, a lot of things changed as far as studies went between 2002 and 2010. So he updated it, and it included a new preface that included why, explaining why he updated the book. And since then, I'm sure he's written other books because a lot more studies have come out since 2010, obviously. So he changed his stance on a couple of things, mainly the cooking oils that you can use and saturated fats. The problem was, I feel like Dr. Cordain went through, or whoever edited his book, went through and updated the information on the oils pretty well. He kept true to those 4 oils that he wants you to use throughout the book. The part of the book that had been written in 2002, I should stress. But he doesn't go through and update the stuff really on saturated fats. He says, I have softened my stance on the saturated fat issue as more and more data becomes available. But nowhere else in the book really did I notice evidence of him changing his stance on this. He is still recommending only lean meats, organ meats, seafood, and fish as sources of protein. He is very strict on the fat content of the protein that he is recommending. More about that. I have been giving paleo a go, as I told you, for about 5 weeks. I started the first week just kind of winging it, doing it myself, eating lots of rotisserie chicken and lots of fresh fruits and veggies. After that, I purchased a book called Paleo in 28, which I will be reviewing as soon as I finish doing the meal plan. It included a meal plan, a 4-week one. I did the first 2 weeks, then I went out of town, and I am back in town, and I'm working on the second 2 weeks now. I am on week 3, and as soon as I finish week 4, then I will be bringing the review of that book and its meal plan to you guys. So when I went through and started on this Paleo in 28 book meal plan, I was a little bit surprised at the amount of fatty types of meat that were in there, like bacon. But I wasn't going to complain. I mean, who complains about having to eat bacon, right? Not this girl. Then I read the Paleo Diet, and I saw that I had been right to be a little bit surprised. Cordain says no to bacon. He says no to pasture-raised beef. If you get ground beef, it has to be less than 7% fat, I think. Really, really low. I've had a hard time finding that in a grocery store. He recommends wild game above all else because it's so low in fat. It's out there running around. It is not sitting in a pasture gathering all this fat that our cows do these days. So it changes the balance of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in the animal. And that's why it's not just the saturated fat that he's telling you to stay away from. So I wrote a few articles ago that there are vegans, and then there are vegans with a capital V. Turns out there's paleo, and then there's paleo with a capital P too. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, that every nutritional lifestyle out there is going to have the diehard purist at the center of it, and paleo is no exception. Dr. Cordain wants us all to be paleo with a capital P, for sure. Unfortunately, and he admits this freely himself, it's just not financially feasible for most people to go out and buy wild game. So I assume most people have expanded their meat selection accordingly. And the jury is really still out on saturated fats anyway. I would argue that it's becoming less clear exactly what circumstances saturated fats are harmful under. Sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. For people that are doing keto and having all these saturated fats, technically their cholesterol levels should be high, but apparently they're supposed to not be. So what exactly is happening there? People are still trying to figure this out. So speaking of cholesterol, Cordain knows that people are going to be worried about their cholesterol when they go to something like paleo. He addresses that point very early on in the book. And it makes sense. He says that if the paleo diet raised your cholesterol, it would have fallen out of favor long ago with all those other fat diets out there, rather than sticking around for now more than 15 years. He actually claims that your total blood cholesterol and LDL cholesterol will drop within your first 2 weeks on the paleo diet. I hope that the blood work at the end of my paleo part of my journey agrees with you, Dr. Cordain. We shall see. So Dr. Cordain is not a fan of today's low-carb diets. 2010, was that Atkins or was keto? Keto was around. I don't know if it got as popular as it is now, but anyway, he's not a fan. He says that limiting your consumption of all carbohydrates is not the way to go. And I mean, that makes sense to me. It really does. You're limiting your cancer-fighting fruits and vegetables. My husband was doing keto for a couple weeks and he couldn't even have, I can't remember what the vegetable was. It would have brought him over his total of carbs for the day. And I'm sorry, you should be able to eat as many vegetables as you want. We know that they are awesome for you. Maybe not every single one, but most. Anyway, Dr. Cordain says we need these fruits and vegetables for more than just their antioxidant properties as well. They help to neutralize the acidity from all the meat that you're consuming to keep your body at a better acid-alkaline balance. Interestingly, he says vitamin deficiencies like scurvy, a vitamin C deficiency, didn't exist in the pre-agricultural era. Once we started to replace many of our calories with grains, we just weren't eating as much of the other meats, fruits, and vegetables that would prevent these deficiencies. On top of that, cereal grains and legumes contain something called anti-nutrients, which block the absorption of these nutrients from your body when you do eat the vegetables that have them. So, not good. I can see why he restricts grains. So, to help combat that, what did we do? Oh no, we didn't stop eating grains. We started adding vitamins to our foods. Fortifying, it's called. Iodine to salt, vitamin B and iron to bread and white rice, vitamins D and A to milk, all kinds of vitamins to cereals. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, almost any of those prepackaged processed foods that you pick up, they've been fortified. They have to, because people eat them and they don't eat vegetables and fruits, and you need to get the vitamins from somewhere, right? So Dr. Cordain makes a really excellent point. The message should be clear. If we have to add a vitamin to a food to prevent it from causing ill health and disease, we shouldn't be eating it in the first place. Makes sense, right? We already learned that the calories that you get from sugar are not like other kinds of calories. Dr. Cordain goes one step further to say that the calories that you get from protein aren't like the calories that you get from fat and carbs also, due to something called the thermic effect. Your body uses a ton more energy to break down proteins. So eating protein boosts your metabolism and causes you to lose more weight merely by digesting your food. So what does this mean? You do not have to cut back calories on a Paleolithic diet in order to lose weight. Da-da-da. I am proof of this. I am not watching my calories whatsoever. I'm eating until I'm satiated and having a snack every so often, some nuts. So, on top of that fantastic news, protein also has a powerful capacity to satisfy hunger. It influences not only how much you eat the next meal, but how much you eat the entire day. Studies have shown that eating more protein at breakfast means that you will consume fewer calories the entire day long. So, grain blocks the absorption of nutrients. They also contribute to chronic illnesses and have a high glycemic load. I get why we should not be eating them, but what about legumes and potatoes? So one reason that Dr. Cordain advises against legumes is that they contain something called lectins, which plants evolved actually to fight off insects, which sounds kind of scary in and of itself. He claims that lectins increase the permeability of our intestines and allow partially digested food proteins and remnants of gut bacteria to spill out into your bloodstream. Doesn't sound good, right? Now, usually specialized cells that are part of your immune system would gobble up these wayward bacteria and food proteins, but lectins impair the immune system's ability to fight off these leaked fragments. Now, other people point out that when you cook a food, those lectins are virtually eliminated through cooking. And if lectins really are the issue, then we need to eliminate a lot more than legumes because they are everywhere. They are in all kinds of fruits and vegetables. However, it is definitely the case that legumes are poorly absorbed and digested by some people. So I'd argue that the case for legumes could be on a case-by-case basis, but they're not necessary for human health. So unless you have this die-hard love of beans, then I would say why not exclude them when you're trying paleo, right? As for potatoes, and not sweet potatoes, mind you, they're okay. Dr. Cordain seems to exclude them mostly due to their high glycemic load or high glycemic index, which basically means they spike your blood sugar really high. So you should not be having them if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic. Overall, the book is incredibly informational and full of all kinds of interesting scientific information to back up why eating this way supports your very DNA. So I went kind of all over the place in my head about deciding how to rate this book. I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I took off half of a star simply for the lack of followability. The majority of the American public will not be able to follow the whole wild game and fresh fish and seafood aspect of it. If you take that away, then it's 4.5 out of 5. But it is in there, and he did not change it when he changed his stance on saturated fats. So I took off another half of a star for the inconsistency when it came to those saturated fats, where Dr. Cordain claimed that he had softened his stance on them and then did not change any of the tables or anything in the whole rest of the book. The actual information in the book and the amount of research and time that he put into it is 5 out of 5 stars, for sure. He put an enormous amount of time into this. I mean, the references at the end of the book are a lot. And a lot of it makes a lot of sense, as I've said to you before. I found this interesting. Dr. Cordain warns against going against the spirit of the paleo diet. For example, using almond flour and olive oil and any number of other technically allowed foods on the paleo diet, and putting them together to create a high-carb, sugary, high-fat baked good. All the ingredients in this baked good may be strictly paleo, but using them to create something that approximates the exact foods that we are trying to avoid isn't what we should be doing, he warns. A lot of paleo recipes do this. And I suppose Dr. Cordain has a point, but he also says, if you go to your niece's birthday party and they have cake, for goodness sake, have a slice of the cake. You don't need to follow this 100% of the time. Just do your best and do it most of the time. So doesn't that rationale of moderation support a case for occasionally indulging yourself in creating paleo-friendly desserts? I mean, I would think that creating a paleo-friendly dessert that's still technically allowed, even though it goes against the spirit of paleo, would be incentive to keep following the diet. You can say to yourself, hey, I can eat this. Maybe his point is that you shouldn't do it too often. I would think that you should stick to the spirit of paleo most of the time, but occasionally, sure, have a paleo-friendly dessert if it's gonna help keep you on your diet or lifestyle choice for the rest of your life. So I'm looking forward to reading the book Practical Paleo, which is the third book that I will be reading in my paleo journey, to see what kind of stance it takes regarding fatty meats and saturated fats and all that. It also includes meal plans, so I will be doing a little bit of that meal plan as well. I will also be watching a couple more documentaries on paleo and bringing reviews and information from them to you. So be sure to subscribe and follow along on this journey. Hi! Look at that cutie. Oh no, don't touch that. That's all furry. No, that's our sound. I know. You like the furry thing on the sound mic, do ya? So if you're ever wondering how I am doing on my current nutritional experiment, currently paleo, you can go to my website, getwellwithme.com, right? Yeah, getwellwithme.com, and you will see that there is a poll. You'll see that there's a little tracker in the sidebar now that has what experiment I'm doing, how many pounds I've lost, how I feel on it, if I've got blood work done, that will give you that information there. Oh, here they come. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Those pumpkins, they just love you. Say bye-bye. Can you wave? Bye-bye. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. Yay, good job. You're good at that one.